大家好，欢迎你们来新加坡。
谢谢。
因为这是 the rise of Asia-Tech， 所以我们应该说中文一点点。
谢谢，很荣幸今天可以来到这里跟大家做这个分享。
但是我需要说昨天晚上我对 Fred 说我们应该说中文，但是我的中文老师还没有taught me how to say programmatical ad tech, so therefore this is going to be in English actually. Don't worry.
你的中文很好。
哪里。Okay, so thank you. I'd like to just get each of you to introduce yourselves first before we start the conversation.
All right. Hi, my name is Larry Aslim. I led the Ultra Unilever trading desk for Indonesia and the whole digital operations for Unilever in Mindshare.
Hi there, I'm Jonathan Bay from China, Cadron China. I'm the CEO for Cadron China, so looking after the programmatic buy as well as data and analytics within Cadron.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Frederick Liao from Agorix. Agorix formerly is part of Baidu Global, so I look after the global exchange business for Agorix. I'm based in Singapore.
Okay, great, thank you. So, Jonathan, I want to start with you actually. So, because you're living and working in the Chinese market, and we see so much innovation coming out of that market as well as the dominance of the BAT ecosystem. So, there are a few different things where I just want to start this conversation. What are you seeing in terms of the development of independent ad tech in China? And is there much of an opportunity there just because of the sheer dominance of the BAT ecosystem?
I think definitely there will always be opportunities for independent ad tech. Because put it this way, I mean, up until now, even the way that a lot of my clients are spending, about 70% still going into the BAT, but the rest of 30% are still on the independent ad tech. And then a lot of the acceleration of new tech development are actually being pushed by the BAT, but there are still clients that comes in and ask for independent technology stack. And I think that's important that we remain to offer something as similar to clients as possible. But at the same time, maybe I might want to highlight a little bit, because we all spoke about independent ad tech, because at the end of the day, publishers, even publishers in China like the BAT, they are expanding in such a way that initially it was always proprietary data, proprietary media. You can only play and run your advertisement within the one ecosystem, but it has all been opened up recently. You can leverage that data, and then you can use and plug in different medias across different ecosystem and best fully leverage this data to do more precision targeting. I think that's something that they have opened up. And more importantly, the third layer that they've opened up, someone like Jingdong, one of our strategic partners. So Jingdong is China's e-commerce giant. Well, not the biggest, but the second biggest, put it this way. And they actually open up their data, enabling us to run data and analytics in such a way that slicing and dicing data to better know some of the China audiences that allows us to do better precision marketing, all right? So open up their data, accessing different inventories from different ecosystem, plugging them in, and run awesome campaign, okay?
Yeah, and so then in order to access that, are you seeing the rise of independent players to really, I've sort of seen some figure, actually I saw a presentation from Tencent last year where they were saying that they were investing in something like 300,000 startups in China. Like the number was just absolutely nuts. But it's all related to their ecosystem, enabling them to be able to leverage it better and opening up opportunities for entrepreneurs. Is that really how it's driving, how it's going forward?
We do see a lot of independent ad tech, and we do actually see a lot of values. But put it this way, a lot of them grew to a scale and then they eventually got acquired. And of course, someone like the BAT, maybe not even the BAT now, maybe I'll call it the JAT, Jingdong, Alibaba, Tencent, or BATJB, Baidu, Alibaba, Tencent.
Okay, Fred, we'll get your input on that in a minute.
It's more than that now.
Right, there are more, aren't there? Yeah.
So a lot of it, it's, these BATs still try to create their own ecosystem. And we are actually seeing a lot more getting shifted, not just into media, but on the technology itself. Like someone like the Tencent and Alibaba, recently in the market, they've been rolling out new initiative basically to address the omni-channel, how to bring more offline to online. And they brought in something really innovative. They brought in QR code, right? So QR code, they've been using it for many, many years already, right? But they are bringing it in such a way, someone like Tencent are trying to digitalize the supply chain, right? So someone like Tencent are pushing innovation as such. Each individual product, when it gets produced in the factory, right, there would be a unique QR code, one product, one code, right? So by the time it gets into the distributor, by the time it gets into the different retailers, all of them would scan the batch of goods.
So they're thinking about the entire supply chain from start to
And
finish.
by the end, when the consumer actually bought this product, they would scan the product and lead them onto WeChat mini program. Okay, so what Tencent now offers is the complete holistic journey of what's going on. And from a agency perspective, we can tap into their WeChat advertising. We tap into the Tencent data clouds that enables us, a holistic journey analysis of how things gets distributed in China, how consumer consumes the product.
Super interesting. And I'd love to come back to this point about then how we're seeing this move outside of China towards other markets. But I'd just like to give you a chance first, Fred, to sort of jump in here. Can you tell us a little bit about your business? So, your ex-Baidu.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that we're seeing, that especially in China, the market is getting very saturated. That's one thing. So you can see like even BAT, not even BAT, even the mid-size kind of like developer or kind of like internet kind of like company, they try to move out of China. Just as I mentioned, it's getting saturated. So by going out, they can tap to a bigger market, a growing market. Especially what I see is that the common battleground actually happening in Southeast Asia, where the Chinese, not the BAT or other bigger Chinese company, are actually fighting with the your Facebook, Google, for user especially in this region. Yeah, so I think this is interesting because I guess with the Chinese coming in, I think what they bring is the experience, the technology, which proven in China, and then why they choose Southeast Asia, especially like for example Indonesia, because Indonesia, the current kind of like landscape or kind of environment is what actually similar to China 10 years ago. Yeah, so that's why you see it drive a lot of like kind of like Chinese company kind of like investment coming to Southeast Asia. So I think this is where they actually really can they hope that because of the environment, what proven there can happen here. So where they see some of this happening, for example like Lazada, it's like really early now in a way. Even the system, I was in Lazada office like a couple of months back, it's really early.
As in the culture has changed.
It changed, everything changed. So I think they bring that technology, they bring that experience, they bring like other things here. So you see how they're actually transforming the lot of like smaller player. Used to be a smaller player here like Lazada, but with the investment, with the technology, actually they are actually bringing them out to the level. So I think we'll see a lot more of such thing happening here.
And then on that, so I want to pick up on that point about then Indonesia being such a key market, a key area of focus. And Larry, you're in Indonesia, or you're at the coalface. What are you seeing then? Are you seeing a number of different Chinese-based tech companies who are really starting to test things in market? I know that there are a number of Indonesian unicorns as well who are establishing a presence also across the rest of Southeast Asia. Maybe if you can talk about that.
Definitely, I think Indonesia is probably the largest Southeast Asia's digital economy at the moment. It's valued at 27 billion by 2018, and it's kept increasing by 49% year-on-year growth. So I think the potential growth are enormous. Then we can see that in 2017, Alibaba, ANT Financial, Tencent, JD, everything's coming in to invest in Indonesia. Then we can see also this new super apps coming in, the Gojek, Grab, Tokopedia, Dana was actually also invested by some of these investors as well. We are start seeing that all of these are dominating the mobile moments for Indonesian consumers. And we start seeing like all this start coming in, and of course there are was to become the super apps of Indonesia. And they want to actually combine all this. And recently, if you heard that Tokopedia acquired Bright Story, which you can actually order a wedding kind of things through internet easily. And there's a parent story as well. You can order like activities for your kids through internet as well. So all these are actually potential growth for Indonesia. And I think it's becoming one of the most looked at for Indonesia in Southeast Asia.
And do you think, someone like a Gojek, I mean, of course, they're a massive company anyway and well-established in their own right, but are they basically looking at the likes of WeChat? And, is that, same with Grab, is that the plan? Does everyone sort of look at China and say, okay, this is, this interesting ecosystem has been built out, it's been tested, so is that what they're following?
Yeah, well, Gojek now has entered in Singapore, but what I see that Gojek is only one in ride-hailing in here. But in Indonesia, they have 18 apps inside the app, right? So
18.
18 apps inside there. So if you want to do, like, for example, manicure, pedicure, hair cream bath, massaging, and then as well as you want to clean up your house at the same time, then you want to actually, do auto care, and then groceries at the same time, you can just sit down and relax using Gojek. That's actually the super app that they are trying to build. Of course, there will be a fierce battle between Gojek and the other.
Jonathan, then how does that compare to WeChat and what WeChat offers?
I think WeChat, it's a more open system in such a way that it's a platform itself that enables any small business to come in and do something with it. Because WeChat, yes, we all understood that it's a kind of like chatting application, right? Similar to what you guys have for WhatsApp. But more importantly, the way that WeChat are growing, making this to a super app, is similar to what you have got for Grab. You'll be able to book your taxi ride. You'll be able to make payment. You'll be able to order food. But more importantly, I think the growth of it's essentially such an open platform because it's ever since the introduction of mini program, WeChat mini program, a lot of the apps usage actually fall, and then more of the apps usage are now on the mini program itself. And more importantly, a lot of huge e-commerce giants. I'm not talking about the Alibaba or Jingdong because these are all outside Tencent ecosystem.
Yep.
But someone like the Pinduoduo, or call them PDD for now,
Yep.
they kind of grew to a scale in China in a very short period of time is because of mini program. So Pinduoduo, PDD, it's a group buy e-commerce platform.
Yep.
So the more people buy certain items, the price drop, right? Essentially, with the shareability of mini program, there's a lot of people sharing just to make sure that they get that offer going.
And then do you think with these, so the platforms that you're mentioning, and Fred, you probably have a perspective on this as well, has the opportunity in China plateaued? We can see a number of these companies really starting to look outside to continue to build their reach across external markets, Southeast Asia being a key area, but also, I know that you guys are looking globally as well. Where's the focus and how do you start looking out externally?
So I guess it's more on where they find the market actually suit their development. Yeah, for example, like some of e-commerce, like what I was mentioning, they find that because Indonesia is much suitable because of the younger population, the infrastructure, the mobile penetration. So it's driving that. And then also most of the, for example, Indonesian 63% is below 30 years old. Yeah, so it's very young generation there. So that's why, and then 4 hours of their time spent on reading, spent on buying things online. So which drives a lot. Then it's especially e-commerce coming, but the other part, let's say US, probably slower. But let's say it's like entertainment-wise, is US. You can see some growth there. Kind of like entertainment, like for example, like TikTok, how they're able to capture the share.
Yeah.
In US, in Europe. Yeah, so it's depending on strategy and then how I mean importantly is the strategy, how they want to actually scale and then where their product will suit the market.
Yeah.
I think it's very important. Yeah, so deciding where they want to fight the war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about TikTok then, because that's an incredible growth story. So, just, ByteDance, well, they've got a number of different businesses within that business, right? Is it Toutiao, the news headlines,
The video apps, Watermelon Video, Douyin, which is TikTok, and then there are also a few other basically short content, short video kind of apps available,
Yeah.
or under the ByteDance.
And do you know, is the conversation, it's a strategic imperative to look externally for audience outside of China? This is, what's the conversation that you're hearing on
I think
ground?
definitely it's the global dominance that all China company have that ambitious, right?
Yeah.
Like any of the companies that you kind of look into, everyone wants to do that cross-border, do the growth that way. But at the same time, I don't think it's just because of that ambitions that enables them to grow to that scale. A lot of it, the technology, the touching onto the needs of the millennial, I think it's the core growth of these kind of apps, because of a lot of it is the limited time span that any of the consumer, even the millennials now, when they go about in consuming content, video, they just want to consume a short content, a short video. And this kind of apps actually caters for it.
Yeah.
So that's why the growth.
Can I ask a question? And any of you can take this, but I'm just thinking back to some of my experiences working in a media agency, trying to work with some of these different Asian platforms. Line a few years ago, across a couple of different markets where it started to develop an audience. KakaoTalk in Korea, WeChat as well across a couple of different markets. One of the biggest challenges was in just getting connected with these companies and actually trying to make it happen. It's a very different service experience from dealing with a Google or a Facebook. How do you see, has that improved? Has it shifted? Like maybe Larry, you could talk to this. How are you working with some of these different platforms?
Yeah, look, I think it's much improved than whatever years before that. But I can actually see that each of these market actually building their own clusters. I believe that Thai is actually growing with Line. Indonesia are growing more with Gojek cross Bluebird. And then there's Singapore with Grab and then cross Camp and all that. And probably the other market as well. But I can see that we actually representing brands that we actually make a deal and easier before then, because they appreciate this advertisement things in their platform as well. Because starting Line today, everyone start reading news in the Line today as an aggregator news. In Indonesia, they are growing, but it's not as fast in Thailand at the moment. But what I can see that, they are much improved than previous years.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And actually, Fred, I want to talk a little bit about your business because, maybe if you can just explain a little bit about because it's kind of, it started as something, then it changed into something else, then it was bought or sold. Can you just explain a little bit about it? And because I'm quite interested in your perspective around Chinese company now going global, again, what's the strategic priority? Where do you see the challenges and how do you overcome those?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's important because, especially because we are under the Baidu Global. So what happens is that because China is one on its own, but being Baidu Global, I think it's important that we need to capture in terms of growth and all this. So for us, we are a publisher, we are a developer in a way. So it's a bit over. I'm an exchange, but as what you see in China, a lot of these mega big publisher, they are also building the app platforms to monetize ads, which you don't really see in other part of the world, where they are publisher, just pure publisher. But for in China, it's a publisher can wear multiple hats. They can build DSP, they can build everything. So for us, that's why for us similarly, we have a team that actually develop apps, many different apps. We teams that build games, build B2B apps, etc. So I think what we're seeing is because in the market, I think there's a lot of demand for inventory. So because coming from this industry, I realized that there are a lot of inventory, actually, especially if you are DSP, you see there's a lot of inventory actually are similar. I mean, if you buy, they say, well, run, yeah, I mean, yeah, there you know. Yeah, so it's like, I mean, this is what I heard like, from my demand partner, hey, yeah, buying this same publisher. So in long term, when you look at it, especially one campaign, the user gets sick of it. I mean, if the same media, yeah, I mean, the same media keep posting the same inventory, I mean, after a while, you'll see the lifetime value drop. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing will drop. So I think that's why, I mean, it actually excites me when I tell my team, hey, yeah, we have a team, we actually control the media, we control inventories, let's monetize it through a proper platform. That's what drives us to build the exchange. Because PLC probably will monetize it. I mean, PLC, we are behaving more like publisher. Oh, I give to Mokpao, I give to like Google, yeah. Okay, sorry, Google. But anyway, we give to them to monetize. But I mean, end of the day, we are publishing. We own all this suite of products, inventory. I think it's better for us to control. The key thing is also the data. Yeah, we want to control our data. That's really important. So instead of like you giving that to someone to serve it and collecting all this information. So that's what in the pipeline that we're looking at. Okay, we build this exchange. We're going to build out this data where in the future, let's say we're able to have a better behavior targeting or to our agency friends or advertiser.
Yep.
So that's what we bring to the market is a new brief of life, a new brief of inventory, to not just like China, but I mean like global market, especially the US. But the thing what's interesting is yes, of course, US the CPM always much higher, yeah, without doubt. But when we look at the growth, it's always Southeast Asia. We see the penetration rate, the growth rate, the adoption rate of our apps. Yep. For example, like Indonesia, we are seeing like there's like probably 300 million daily active user that we see in Indonesia. Yeah. So and the adoption rate, the penetration rate is very fast. As compared to US, it's much slower, although the CPM is really good, lucrative. But yeah, by the growth, we see that yes, Southeast Asia, and of course Latam, Brazil, all these countries where you see a much higher kind of penetration adoption rate. Yeah. So I think this is also one reason what drives a lot of the Chinese kind of publisher, they want to look outside because of the growth they're seeing. And as I mentioned, China, they already reached a saturation state. And of course in China, if you are a publisher, a new publisher, you find it very hard to get user in China because now to acquire a user, unless you are BAT, but it will be very expensive to acquire a user.
Well, on that, because you were telling me an interesting story about a company called, Chutotia?
Oh yeah, so there's one interesting thing, I think, I don't know. So that is also one of the way because it's so competitive in China, they have to think a lot out of the box way to get user.
Can you just tell me or tell the audience what Chutotia does?
Okay, so it's like a clickbait kind of thing. So what happens like if a user read, I mean the Chinese audience
so
don't know.
It's a gossip news site? Is that right?
It's like a much lower version of a Toutiao, but they serve all the gossip news, interesting news. So, and then what interesting thing is that because how they incentivize user to read an article, a news. So you get a like gold coin or visual coin. Yeah, that will be credited to you. Right. So this drives the engagements. And what happened interesting is, this what drive, like similar to Pinduoduo, acquire a lot of users in third-tier city. Yeah, because it's not really so much of first tier, but third-tier city.
So they're focused on a rural community.
This
is gonna
so you can see a lot of, there's a lot of you follower, a lot of audience. I mean, and then because you can refer friend to read, you get a lot more credit. So this is how they acquire user. A lot more user, I mean, in a very fast pace. Yeah. So
which is interesting. I can imagine something like that then potentially really working in Indonesia as well.
So
that's how they treated got listed in Nasdaq last year. So I was, wow, what is this company? Anyway,
So but this kind of companies, they're actually making a loss. You know, they're encouraging people. They pay people to consume content, interact content. Yeah. The same applies for Pinduoduo, which essentially is, they actually subsidize for a lot of the good sales, right?
But why are they doing that? Is it the sort of, they're just trying to build a database of users to leverage the data?
Eventually, the growth for tier 1 and tier 2 cities in China will plateau.
Right, yeah.
The next growth is actually beyond the tier 3 to tier 5 cities, right? So these are the publishers that are trying to dominate that space, right?
I tell you what, I will never forget, I lived in Western China for a little while, and one day I saw a farmer walk in, and this guy was, like he'd come straight from the field, and he had shopping bags full of cash where I was in the bank. He was like loaded. They got some cash.
Yeah, so I think this interesting because the other day, just one of the Chinese developer contacted me. She asked me what opinion. Such similar app will work in Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I said, yeah, Indonesia, why not? Because in Indonesia,
Completely.
there's still like other outside Jakarta. Imagine you incentivize them, the growth is massive.
Yeah.
Definitely, I think that is right. Actually, what we actually see is a rural area now, right?
Yep.
In fact, one of the companies that are actually able to provide these insights about rural area are now actually being looked at because there are a lot of opportunities out there, right?
Yeah.
And to replicate what you've seen in China, when I actually grew up in Sydney, look at it was actually a Parliament Expo. They actually bring a briefcase of cash.
Mm. Yep.
Yeah.
But you don't see any more cash in China.
Oh, right, yeah.
It's always Alipay or WeChat Pay. Guys, I mean, no more cash in China.
They only do cash for showing.
Yeah. So I just want to touch on a final point about innovation and how it's different in Asia versus other markets. And so I interviewed a guy last year who actually he's a consultant from Hong Kong, set up a successful consulting company in China, and what he talks about is how innovation in China is very, very different to the West. It moves much faster. There's a quick recognition of whether there's an opportunity in just to go out and acquire skills, build it into the business very, very quickly. It's not about building it in a slow way. Is that kind of what you're seeing on the ground? Yeah.
I mean, yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Specifically, I'm seeing actually a lot more innovation whenever there's a growth area, such as like the e-commerce. So because of that, I think they all kind of see where the monies are placed, and then start to go and introduce more innovation around that side of the area.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I do also see the value from publisher side to drive a lot of this innovation, a lot of the adoption of innovation on their own platforms. So I mentioned countless times about WeChat. It's just such an open platform. Of course, there are formulas that you need to follow, but it's open enough that it's also driving more innovation that's happening within this ecosystem.
Yeah. I think it's a super exciting time, and actually, it's interesting to your point, Larry, just that about the clusters. I think that's what's really interesting is to see, which markets these different Asian tech platforms are really coming in and owning. And I think the next few years are just going to continue to be super interesting. Unfortunately, Fred, did you have a final point? We're out of time, actually. I want to wrap up, but if you wanted to...
No, I just want to say, I would say that not just Indonesia, like the other regions like Vietnam, but Thailand may be a bit tricky because really Facebook, Google market. But while you're seeing that like Vietnam, all these countries, we are seeing that also coming because also Vietnam very interesting that it's a unique thing. It's like is the market very interesting because I see a lot of Indian developer coming out, in Vietnam. So you can see if you look at any store, you can see that wow, suddenly you see from nowhere the Vietnamese company actually develop apps that actually in top 10 rank.
Yep.
Yeah, so we see that the other Chinese coming in, but you can see that in Southeast Asia, on the touch on its side, we all see like some of the Southeast Asia market, they might see a unicorn coming out. So much, like even Vietnam, we start to see some sign of like indie developer coming out with good apps. They're actually like getting the adoption, and it's a global market. It's like US people are using the apps, playing the game. So very interesting.
Yep. Great. Could definitely continue this conversation. Unfortunately, we need to wrap it up, and I can see Rachel looking at me. Thank you very much. 谢谢你们.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.